Store mine right now. Cocalico self-storage.
Hey, John.
Stuff up I'm at the bus.
For a meeting.
That's pretty
Can
cheap.
I call you back, or can you
So I
call
thought it'd be a lot
Frank?
more
He's got back from vacation. You can explain to him.
Is there a yearly discount?
All right, thanks.
Seems like you pay per year. What? You're gonna say it's like a yearly rate? Or you store it
Recording
at
in
the
progress.
You store it at winter time only? No, I store it there now.
Good morning. I'd like to call the East Cocalico Township Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to ask everyone to please silence any electronic devices, cell phones, put them on vibrate. Thank you. This meeting was duly advertised in accordance with the second-class Township Municipal Code in the Lancaster newspaper on December 23rd of 2020. There were no executive sessions held since our last Board of Supervisor meeting. And gentlemen, we have the past meeting minutes for approval. Do we have any changes, corrections, additions to the missing?
There was one correction that is made in everybody's copy that's in the room. However, on the website, it was put on incorrectly. So I will highlight that at this time. It was about the treasurer's report. The motion was made by me. If you go on page 5 at the very top, the motion was made by me and seconded by Mr. Ebersol. The list of bills, the total of $88,087.42 with a light fund of $12,895.16 for a total of $100,982.58. That $100,000 was the total that's incorrect on the website. So it is corrected in these meeting minutes and corrected as I announced.
Thank you. Anything else, Rick?
Nope.
It was just an addition error that is now rectified.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the Thursday, July 15, 2021 Board of Supervisor meeting minutes.
And I'll second that.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Okay, land planning engineering.
All right, first up on the agenda is the village at East Cocalico. For those who don't know, this is the triangular-shaped parcel located between Quail Hollow and 222, over off of South Muddy Creek Road. Basically, the applicant has submitted plans, final plans. We reviewed them one time. They're in the process of getting back to us with review comments. And simply based on the time of action, the applicant did submit a time extension offer for an additional 90 days. Therefore, our recommended motion would be to accept the written time extension offer as submitted by the applicant's consultant dated July 28, 2021, which will extend the deadline for action on the village of East Cocalico final subdivision land development plan until November 20th, 2021.
Is there anyone here representing that plan? No. Gentlemen?
I guess just as a general comment, Casey, the origins go back a long, long way.
Yeah, I could expand more on that project. Initially, it came into the township as a preliminary plan back in 2005. Due to the 2008 crash and some other properties the developer was looking at the time, they kind of put this on the back burner. Now they're coming back to it, and they're really aggressively trying to push this one through. It's essentially 5 or 6 single-family dwellings that will extend from Kestrel, I believe it is, to Quail Hollow, and then go to a large loop that will have private townhouses, have a access drive going, their own private access drive going along 222, connecting to South Might Creek Road, where there's, for the locals that know, there's kind of like a PennDOT entrance there, a guardrail. And then there will be another access to go to the future Grande project, and then obviously connecting to Quail Hollow as it is now,
East Kestrel.
East Kestrel.
Yep. Okay, do I have a motion
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
and a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries.
The second item on the engineer report, on the action items today, is for 548 Hanstown Road, James H. Lee's former managed small private application. The township had received a small private application. We reviewed it, the township zoning office reviewed it, and deemed it accessible or applicable. Therefore, similarly to prior projects with just a procedural motion, they will have to go forth and get a stormwater management easement agreement and then get that recorded. The board will have to sign it. Therefore, we recommend the board consider authorizing themselves to sign the stormwater management and easement agreement related to 548 Hanstown Road stormwater management small project application as prepared by the township solicitor when executed by the applicant and submitted to the township. Again, that's just a procedural motion.
Right.
We have to do with all board signed documents.
I believe there's no one here representing that. And I will make that motion. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries.
And then just as an FYI, this was not on the engineer report, does not need to be a formal motion. We just received word yesterday that the red running across on North Reading Road across from Redner's, he's going to switch his escrow money from his financial security escrow to a letter of credit. So at some point in the near future, the township will be receiving a letter of credit, and then he requested that the township release his escrow and put forth a letter of credit. So that does not need any kind of formal action. That's simply an FYI for the board. We had discussed that with the applicant yesterday on a phone call.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? Gentlemen? Okay. So we have then?
Yeah, I think we have a couple other items
Yeah,
for resolutions, then a
Yep.
landmark was here.
Okay, so. Can you give a background on that one?
For the additional right of way?
Yeah. Mike?
Yeah, actually, this action was for both of these items for earth, turf, and wood. You guys had approved these deeds at the last meeting, and in order to process that through, Tom has developed these two separate resolutions for you to take action. And then deeds, I believe, have already been signed by both the applicant and by the board. The resolution then will enable us to then get it down to Tom, get it in the public record, and then he will be filing those. Anything else, Casey, on that?
No, this has all been planned, we've already approved it's just a matter of getting the resolutions completed by the township.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to adopt resolution 2021-09, accepting the dedication of the additional right-of-way for North Reamstown Road, Reamstown 188 North Reamstown Road, BST, Reamstown Properties as the owner. Do I have a second for that resolution?
No second.
Okay, motion and second. Opposed? None? Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carries.
There you
Only 9 in the morning. Okay. Then we have a motion to adopt, I'll make the motion to adopt resolution 2021-10, accepting the dedication of the additional right-of-way for North Reamstown Road, Reamstown 196 North Reamstown Road, Christy R. Hyson, owner. You have a second?
Well said.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. And we have, okay, then I have one other motion to adopt Resolution 2021-11, accepting the deed of dedication, tract of land containing 7.214 acres within the Stony Point development.
Now, before we take any action on that, we do have Cliff Weaver and Sharon Young from Landmark are here, and this item, and I don't know, Casey, if you want to go in, you want to meet, let's see. Go ahead. There's a parcel of land here that this open space that's adjacent to the current park. Includes 3 stormwater features on there, as well as an area where at one time there was a proposed trail and a culvert, bridge sort of culvert to travel across that trail, connecting the sidewalk to the park. It was part of a larger park system that was there. There was an agreement back in October of 2011, which the developer said they'll prepare the necessary permit documentation to apply for the general permits required to complete the installation of this pedestrian bridge, culvert, and trail. In the future, that would be the township would have been getting those general permits transferred over, and that had been the township's desire to and cost to put that improvement in. I believe that those general permits were renewed 2 times. Well, they were obtained and renewed once, but they did expire in late June. And we're at the point now that the agreement had stipulated back in 2011 that we would accept this with the general permits transferred. 10 years have gone by, we haven't done anything with it. There hasn't been any discussion about putting that in. So the applicant is requesting to have the township accept back this open space parcel, approve the dedication, and not have those general permits transferred or being renewed. Do you want to, I tried this, is there anything you guys, we do have 2 people here, maybe you want to present your side of it, or if I missed something there?
No, that's pretty accurate, thank you, Michael. Again, we applied for the permits and received those in 2011. And so over the course of time, 5 years into it, we renewed them for another 5 years. And so they have expired like 2 months ago, something like that. But again, we're looking at having the township take over dedication of those 7 acres, which is adjacent to the park that was dedicated in phase 1 of Stony Point.
The only thing I would add is that the agreement does allow for the township to have done the trail and the pedestrian bridge at any point during the project prior to dedication. The township didn't have to wait until the parcel was dedicated.
The agreement contemplated that the dedication is done by the township within 30 days of the last home being sold or the streets being dedicated. Both those have been done. Last home was sold in 2019. Streets were dedicated probably 2 years ago.
Actually earlier than that, and actually the maintenance period expired on that last year.
I think the roadways were dedicated in 2018 and 19. I think the township has had adequate time to put the trail in if they would have wanted to. I think the initial stipulation was that at the time Stony Point Park was becoming the next and upcoming project the township wanted to do back in the early 2000s. And the township, based on some email correspondence I was able to gather up, was put that stipulation in the agreement so that when they were pursuing CDBG funding, if they were to get CDBG funding, they could go ahead and put that trail in at that time, not have to wait for any type of formal dedication for that park to be theirs. Obviously, like Landmark said, it has been a long time that land's been like that without a trail. So that's for your consideration. It's been a long time that this project's been going, and the longer something like that sits without a trail, obviously.
And I haven't, in my time here, been approached by any of the property owners asking, hey, when's that trail going to go in? Or trying to inquire about it. There hasn't been really any discussion internally here. This has become an issue, obviously, just because we're at this point of the dedication and need to kind of close it up. So, the board can approve the resolution to accept the dedication without the GP being active, the general permits. You could decide to say, no, we really want those, and then you maybe don't take action on the dedication. Or, down the road, we could accept it, and if we decide we still have the trail there, if we want to go ahead and do it, I think we estimated about 1,500 to 2,000.
Yeah, in Landmark's defense, they can't renew a permit again. So once you renew a permit once it then reaches its timeline, it expires, so you have to reapply. So that's, people may ask, why didn't Landmark just renew it? Again, you can only renew those GPs one time. So that's why we are where we are.
And doing this, I guess the point I'm trying to get to, doesn't mean down the road if that trail becomes something that everybody wants to put in, we still have a mechanism in place. It just would be at the township's cost to get the permit. It always would be at the township's cost to build it, but it could be part of an overall grant project. It could be the fact that if we start contemplating it down the road, we hear back from the property owners there who say they don't want it. The park is connected by sidewalk through development, so it doesn't take away any options you have down the road outside the fact that this renewal that can happen again wouldn't be done.
I mean, this was additional land that the township at that time requested that Stony Point dedicate. And so we did that for the approvals of phase 1 and 2.
Yeah, I guess just as an addition, the feedback that I've heard from some of the people there is that, they're not really happy about a trail there with people walking through their backyard. They kind of like the privacy of the way things are. So, in my time here and with rec boards and all, I haven't heard nobody really requesting this trail.
Would highlight though that trail is not through people's backyards. It's pretty far away from, the property is relatively deep.
There's enough.
There's a pretty thick woodland buffer. So it's not exactly through people's backyards, but again, people, NIMBY, not in my backyard. People don't want it behind their house.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was.
But just, I think the plans are before you, but the trail is pretty far behind all those homes. And it's buffered by a pretty thick wood vegetation.
Yeah. We start talking about safety issues.
So the action that's presented that you have as your motion would be to accept the resolution and essentially take the open space parcel dedication, approve that as it is right now. That's what's prepared, but I just want to make sure you knew what some of your options were depending on what direction you want to go.
Where do we stand with the stormwater portion of this?
As far as the 18-month maintenance dedication?
Yes.
So the stormwater facilities are in. We've taken a look at them. There's one little area of riprap that probably should get cleaned out, but we can handle that at a later date. It's not a big deal. As far as once this land's dedicated, then it will be the townships to mow and maintain for the 18-month period until we take a look at it in 18 months and make sure it's still good to go. And at that point, then Landmark is no longer tied to maintenance of anything that happens to those facilities. It'd be the exact same as a roadway maintenance, where the township then owns the roads, has them dedicated, but if anything happens, sinkholes, curb, sidewalks, the developer would be in charge of fixing or replacing those. It'd be the same with the 3 basins in the parkland, except obviously there's not a whole lot of infrastructure. It's really just basins, outlet structure, and pipe. So it would be very similar. I think before you there is that agreement, and there probably is a financial security letter that Landmark had provided. I think it's the 18-month security is like $21,300, something around those lines. But that's how it works. It'd be the same exactly as a roadway maintenance document, just for those basins.
And so keep in mind, we'll have to add this maintenance part to our schedule, the mowing part of it. Of the 7 acres though, how much would you say? I mean, a lot of it's wooded and.
Yeah, I wouldn't put my guess to the record, but I'd say it's probably about an acre of mowing. But you got to account for the bottom basins. You're not mowing the bottom basins. You're not mowing the woods. So you probably got an extra acre of mowing, including some embankments and some berms.
I can tell you, from talking to our groundskeeper, that it's not actually a lot additional for you because your crew is already more or less taking care of Basin A3 because it's right next to the park, and they've kind of been doing it. In fact, Ken had to put some flags out to make sure they didn't go too far into the basin. So it's really just pretty much the berms on A1 and A2, which are the other ones at the other end. And just once or twice a year mowing in, at the bottom of the basin, clear the vegetation and keeping the outside of the berms from trees growing up. So it is not a lot additional to what you already have.
Yeah, and this dedication was always part of this project.
Yeah, it was always part of the plan.
Okay.
We've also, just to add to the note, we've already also taken care of all the other requirements of dedication. We've provided the title insurance that Tom Goodman wanted. The as-built plans were approved. So everything paperwork-wise has been taken care of.
Okay, so I have a motion on the table.
I'll second
Can you
that.
second that? So a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you.
The other component of this that's still outstanding that we need to address is a swale, a stormwater swale that is a mark B1, is that the?
Yeah, that would not be directly related to the 18-month maintenance period or that previous agreement. That would be an outstanding item as part of prior financial security, which we looped into the maintenance letter of credit so that they wouldn't have to have two separate letters of credit.
Yeah, just I think the reason why, since you guys are here, we might as well discuss that as well. There's a swale that eventually will go back to the homeowners. It's been identified as the grass over time has not been established. To the point you guys have the pictures in there. Actually, I think I have them here, so I can do this. So we wanted to make sure we kind of address this issue because I'm sure Landmark's looking for an official response from the township. I'll try and talk through it. Casey, jump in. You were here in March of 2020. This was the area, and they did a great job putting the pictures together and you got them in your packet. March 10th, 2020. That's what it looked like. There's a lot of sort of overgrowth on the edge of the swale there.
Yeah, just quick, go back on the picture. So this is, Landmark had requested that this whole swale get rip-wrapped at that time. The board had acknowledged that they think once that scrub brush is taken out and it's properly seeded and matted, that there wouldn't be need for rip-wrap. Obviously, when things don't get sunlight, they're not going to have growth and vegetation. So that's just to back up a quick sec. This had been discussed back around this time period in March of last year.
Okay, and we scroll down to October of last year. You can see that the bank there is cleared. And two pictures from there as that grass is trying to be established. This was December of this year. Anything you want to highlight in there, Casey, of now that area there that's running through?
The township got a complaint from one of the neighbors. Township contacted us to go out there and take a look at it with them. We took those pictures. We required, at the time, the township required that Landmark repair that swale to make sure that it wasn't in that condition.
And we'll scroll down. This is July of 2021, just a couple weeks ago. We did, following, after a meeting with representatives from Landmark and Casey, myself, I know two different occasions, Ken McCrae went out to take a look at the swale, and I went out as well to look at it. We did see there are about 5 different locations. They range from maybe 6 to 8 feet where grass is not fully established. Obviously, the developer feels that, they've done a significant amount of work to get this upgraded, and this is, I think the term used was the best it's going to be, right, at the meeting. And our concern, or at least my concern from my end, is once this goes back, if a property owner has an area where there's no grass established, and next year we go out, Ken does an inspection, and then I'm sending a letter to that property owner saying, your grass isn't established, you need to get it done. Of course, they're going to come back and say, well, this is what it looked like last year. Why is it okay last year, not this year? But we wanted to give the opportunity for the Landmark to come and explain their position on it and give you guys a chance to talk about it and see how we move forward. So do you want to add anything to that?
Well, this has been a challenge. The slopes on the swale are fairly aggressive. The other challenge is there is springs that feed into this on a constant basis. And when that happens, it's very difficult to establish any grass at the bottom of the basin. We regraded it at the end of, in the middle of 2020, and then seeded grass. It has grown in there since. We went in this spring. Again, we put sod in the bottom of the swale, established that, and it's growing well. Obviously, you know, it does not look like a golf course. It will never look like a golf course, but you know, we believe it's, you know, much improved from what it had been when it had been overgrown. The grass is in there, it would be maintained. The homeowners own it currently, so it's not going to be dedicated to homeowners. Our job is to get it stabilized. We think we've done as good a job as we can. And I do have other pictures in addition to what they have there that I could present to the board. And we're happy to take a look at some of these and pass them around. You can see in that photo we put sod in the bottom of it to establish that. And it, you know, might there be an area of thin spots here or there? Yes, but I think we've done what I'm going to say is above and beyond is more than reasonable amount of work on this to get this to the point where it is.
We've also not just plunked the sod down and walked away. Our groundskeeper has gone out. He goes out regularly, checks it, adds more sod where necessary. We've also seeded it with a special type of wetlands seed that we have to order special. It's called chufa. It has like a legume type root that's not a normal type of root that likes those conditions that we individually planted. So, and we've continued doing that on an ongoing basis. So
in 2020, we cleaned the brush back, reestablished the swale, and have it established to where it's currently at. Again, we can walk through there in a year, we can walk through there in 2 years. Is it going to be growing like a golf course? Probably not, but it's as good as it's going to get. We had significant rains that came through there, didn't tear it up. Again, because we matted it with, there's a matting underneath it, there's sodding on top of that. Again, the challenge is there is a significant amount of stormwater runs down through there, and there's ongoing springs. Again, we tried to address that with the type of grass we put in there and how we maintained it.
in addition to springs, there are a significant number of sump pumps and downspouts that are discharging into there. So it's constantly creating a slight erosion and constant wet condition.
So is it fair to say, based on topography and other factors, you guys have pretty much exhausted all your options on this one?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time in wanting, I think I have enough grass in there to seed Kansas, but anyway. Again, we've been maintaining it, mowing it, we've been mowing it high so it establishes. Again, if you start mowing it a little lower, it'll continue to fill in some of those areas. There's no washout areas, there's some places where it's not 100%, but again, we're never going to get to the point of it like a golf course.
Now, if this issue is resolved, what's your process for notifying those homeowners that now?
Well, they were ready, when they purchased the lot, that swale was ready, recorded on that lot, and the responsibilities were already recorded on that lot, so.
But if they haven't been mowing back there or doing anything?
We would identify and tell them that just now their responsibility to maintain that.
The other thing is that our NPDS permit is still in effect. We've submitted our notice of termination to the County Conservation District. So once Ryan Weck, our representative for this township, has had a chance to look through the termination documents, the asphalt plan, he will go out there, do an inspection, and he will decide, in his opinion, whether he finds that satisfactory. My understanding is it's going to be probably a number of weeks. At that point, it is assuming he finds that acceptable and issues the termination. Generally, what I've been doing in the past when that takes place is that I've been notifying the property owners that we're no longer on the permit and officially they are responsible for maintaining their BMPs.
Casey, from Becker's, is there what actions required by the board?
So from our end, those pictures that were taken back in 2020, we had held financial security to fix, to remediate that swale. At this time, based on the email that Ken had sent me, that I believe you guys have before you, if you don't, can Ken give us?
Yeah, Ken, do you want to add, I just want to get a sort of a landmark of where we need to, what could happen, but do you want to add, Ken, on your inspection that you conducted?
Yeah, most of it's doing pretty well. There are some areas where the grass hasn't been established, and my concern over it is that I really wonder if the lot owners are going to find that condition acceptable. I suspect they might not. And it's hard to say whether going forward, whether it's going to get better or worse at this point. Depends on how much rain we have and how many big storms, as to whether it proceeds to fill in or it proceeds to erode more. It could go either way depending upon the weather.
Yeah, so from an engineering perspective, this really, to us, is a township decision. It's not an engineering decision based on Ryan Weck's Chapter 102 of the NPDS current regulations, that they have to be 70%, I think 70% vegetated in order to close up the permit. This is generally 70% vegetated. So it's not really an engineering decision, it's more of a township decision on, is this condition acceptable for the township residents? Obviously, every case like this is different. Garden spot frame and alignment, for instance, had a swale that looked very identical to this. We had the owner acknowledge that he was okay with the swale's condition and that if anything happened that he would fix it. But this is a different case than a garden spot frame alignment where you have one owner, that same owner maintaining it. This is an instance where you have 5 or 6. So that's why it's said it's not an engineering call. It's a township call, which is why I asked Ken to kind of head that off and be the voice of the township initially and see them bring it to the board, see what the board thinks.
And that's what we'll kind of circle back. What if the board wants to go one way or the other, would you need a motion for that effect? Or what?
I would like a motion, yeah.
And then that, so let's say we do a scenario where it says, or we agree this is the best we can get, there's other impacts that the current owners are causing that with some pumps, things like that. We think that this is where we're going to go. Then the next step from that is what?
Wouldn't that be an appropriate motion to make at such point as we're requesting to get our financial security back?
Yeah, we could make the request at that time too.
That's what I'm trying to get to,
That's
like
the most
where does it
logical
fall
way.
into?
Yeah, so basically right now, we have looped the financial security for this swale we kept into the 18-month maintenance security so that they only have one letter of credit. This is the only remaining item at Stony Point that would have them tied to any obligations outside of that 18-month maintenance security that is part of that agreement. So that's, Landmark would like to, release their maintenance obligations from repairing the swale, Stewie Road, or the turf dies, or whatever happens. And obviously, like I said, it's really not an engineering decision, but is the township okay with its current condition? And that's why I'd asked Ken to go out and take a look at it and have Ken give the township response from an internal staff employee.
But if it's tied in that way, wouldn't at the end of 18 months, if it was totally dead, we would say, hey, we would pull out of that $21,000? I mean, wouldn't you be agreeing to that then, if you're tying into that action that way? How can we release that if this is a part of it and we say there's a big stretch of it that's not even established?
Based on correspondence, that Landmark letter would be how the 18-month period could expire and we could still hold, X amount of dollars for swale. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Landmark wants to completely be released of responsibility. They don't want to maintain a swale for another 18 months if something happens to it.
We've sold the last home there over 2 years ago.
Right.
So it's time to end this, and we can't continue to take care of this swale to the point that there's, how big of a spot is acceptable? I mean, I think what I'm looking for is a reasonable, acceptable swale, and that's where we are, like I said. We've been maintaining, fertilizing it, putting sod in it. We've been doing as much as we can. Is it acceptable and reasonable? We believe it is. It's been greatly improved since we regraded it last year. At this point, we just need to, to move off this. And if the homeowners, again, need to take on additional responsibility like they would with their current lawn. If there's holes or dead spots in their current lawn, they need to address that as well. When we turn a home over to a customer, that doesn't mean that their lawns are 100% like a golf course. We provide them what's acceptable and reasonable and a standard. At this point, we believe this swale is put in, and maintained and established, to a point that's reasonably acceptable.
Casey, did I hear you say that, that this impacts only about 5 or 6 homes?
Yes, it's about 5 or 6 homes.
So notifying them is, I don't want to say it's not a big deal, but it's not a monstrous task.
And that's something we would take on because, and let them be aware of their responsibilities to maintain that.
That I think they should hear about it direct as opposed to like reading it in the newspaper or something like that.
And we would notify them when we're off the MPS program. So we like to.
Ken, does swale like this fall under the MS4 monitoring program because it eventually gets to a basin, or?
Not at the same level at which we monitor basins. Pipes and swales, basically in the vicinity of a basin, if there's something obvious wrong with them, then that'll get noted at the time of inspection. But we're not going out and doing inspections just because there's a swale somewhere.
Okay.
So based on the locations, what you saw here, where we would be brought in as be complaint based more than anything?
Correct, and if the lot owners are okay with it, it's not in terms of like MS4 and the amount of sediment loss it's causing, it's not enough to be a problem. It's more of an aesthetics thing with the lot owners.
So we've lumped this security, per se, into the overall maintenance bond, right? So we're not holding any dollars for this.
So landlord agreed to lump in this remediation with the maintenance security, yes. So as far as, do we have X amount of dollars for this swale remediation? No. Right now, the only thing would be that landmark is required to repair it if it erodes, if all the turf dies, if all the turf gets washed up and flips over. That is my understanding of the request that's really at hand. I think, like Ken's email may say, if the swale stays exactly like it is, and in the fall, when the new growth comes back, they might not have to do anything at all, just because, grass can spread out. It's really just a matter of, this is not part of the 18-month maintenance period. Is the township satisfied with this condition being put back on the homeowner if in case it does not spread out, and if some kind of turf does flip up, and then someone has to go out there and fix it? That's really the question at hand, which, like I said, we're left up to the township.
And the turf's been established now for over 2 months.
It's rooted.
It's rooted into the matting that's underneath it. I think, I'm not even pulling pictures of the storms that push down through here, but when you realize the magnitude of the water that comes down through here, what we've done to this swale is, I'm surprised that it's in as good a shape as it is, and that's why we need to dedicate this at this point. And,
The sides have not eroded, and the sides have taken the storms, even the very first one that came through here after it was done and stayed beautifully. The problem is that bottom is continuing to get water discharge through it.
but there's significant storms that come down through there. When we get
Oh,
those
yes.
3 or 4 inch storms, it puts a lot of pressure in
They're
this.
coming down.
It is held up, but again, this is as reasonable as we can get.
To your point earlier, the perfect solution might have been the riprap.
We proposed that because of the challenges with this. It's holding. You can see the pictures that I took, and performing accordingly to how it's designed. To my surprise, but it's there, and so it's now got to get dedicated. Again, we're 2 years after the last house was sold.
Yeah, there's significant improvement there. Pictures don't lie. you know, but to Ken's point, when you gotta have a small spot that starts eroding, the next storm gets a little bigger,
And it,
bigger.
right, and it hasn't, and it, you know, and it hasn't eroded, it's not that it's not eroded, it's not that you're seeing that aspect of it, and, again, you know, you can see from the picture, there's not large areas, or small areas, I mean, what is acceptable? Is the size of my fist, you know, is that acceptable, or does it be smaller than that? I mean, I think we go back to the point of what's reasonable, we improved it from its original basis, it's growing, it's established, you know, at this point, we think we're at the point where we need to dedicate it.
You can understand our dilemma a little bit too, that, you know, our MS4 person will go out there and say, you've got an issue, you've got to fix it. It's like, well, wait a minute. You know, we're kind of in the middle too.
No, I understand that. I think, you know, people buying swales and buying retention basins understand that there's a reasonable expectation that they do have to maintain that.
Yep.
And we explain that to them when they buy the lots and they understand that it's there.
It's hard also to see some pictures of some things like that. You don't see the context of it if you watch the whole thing or if you saw the video of the whole thing. You know, it is a little bit misleading. The swale is beautiful. Are there a few spots like that? Yes, but overall, if you went out and walked it, you would see that the swale is really, it really looks good.
If it stays that way, not a problem.
And
All of a sudden things go, you know, well then it is a problem. So that's what we're talking about.
but that's like a basin, you know, they understand that it's not a basin, but it's a swale, but they, you know, they need to understand that what their responsibilities are.
The other way to look at this is what was the base fundamental intent after Landmark did this? It wasn't to maintain this in perpetuity, right? So by us authorizing, approving, allowing those homes to be built, we own part of that responsibility that eventually over time that has to get dedicated over. You can't keep kicking that can down the road.
We're paying a mowing bill every week.
I would highlight that this isn't a township, this isn't a swale to be dedicated. It's simply the responsibility to fix it if something happens, detrimental happens. So I think in Ken's email, I don't think that Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Ken's requesting that anybody do anything at this point, but that the township reevaluate it in the fall once it's time tested. And like Cliff said, you know, the turf was recently installed 4 months ago. If you back up a couple pictures, when Tony and I have been out there in October, I agree the swale looked great. And then until we got the complaint, and the bottom had been washed out. So, but I agree that turf is probably a great idea. There's no doubt the turf is taking in some places. I think the only thing to consider right now is what Ken had said as far as, do we want to take action now? Do we just want to wait till the fall? Landmark doesn't have to do anything. We can reassess it later on. Once the swale's a little bit time tested, lets those plant roots go into the soil a little bit.
And I would say we have done it. It's been time tested. It's been in over a year. We seeded, we sodded it in the spring, so you know, we can't continue to kick it down the road, because if we can go back in the fall and there may be a few small spots that haven't completely grown in there, we can go back in 5 years and we'll be able to find spots that haven't grown in. So again, what's reasonable.
When was the NPDS? You mentioned it was in timing-wise.
I would expect that the inspection will probably be within the next month or so, based on what I understand the workload is at the Conservation District. But as
this is an engineering call. Is the condition acceptable to township residents and the 6 property owners there? It's not like I said, we've okayed swales, like Sharon said during our meeting, we've okayed swales in this condition in other instances to their specific criteria based on owner acknowledgements of its condition, where that owner then understands it's like this, if it breaks down, I'll have to repair it. In this case, I mean, if you wanted to get 5 or 6 acknowledgements, you could.
Well, Casey, I mean, you know, as Cliff pointed out, all the property owners sign, when they sign the agreement of sale, they acknowledge that they're responsible for, they've provided with a whole pile of documents. We actually had to provide copies of those to the Conservation District, that, you know, their homeowner responsibilities, the fact that they know that they have these on their property, that they are responsible if spots become eroded, what's involved in maintaining them, all sorts of things. So they know that they are responsible and that they accept responsibility for that when they purchase these homes. So, you know, they are accepting responsibility for them.
I believe you when you tell me that they were given how the papers and how the closing. If the last property was sold 2 years ago, then I gotta backtrack from that to when, you know, their dream of having a house, you know, started whenever. And so you may be looking at 3 or 4 years. And I think it would just be fair to these people to let them know that, you know, effective, pick your
Absolutely.
date, but, you know,
Right, I'm not,
just so you know, and refer back to the document, you know, to the
absolutely,
document.
and I do that, and I will do that. All I'm saying is I'm not sure it's appropriate to ask them if it's acceptable. I absolutely do that.
I think it's, this is the entity, I believe, that has to decide whether or not it's acceptable to them, to the residents, to the homeowners. They've been going along and seeing other people sodding and seeing other people doing this and doing that. I just think that they need to receive information that says effective this date, those people who were doing sodding and mowing and whatever are not going to be there anymore, and it's your all's responsibility, reference back to your closing document.
Absolutely, and as I said, that's what I've told our groundskeeper and other developments, and this one's no different, that as long as we have our NPDES permit active, then we need to continue to maintain it. So at such point as that is closed out, even if it is an ENS or vegetation issue, that's what I told him, and so he will be doing that until such point as that occurs, and at that time, I will make sure that they receive those papers all over again, and this is, you know, how you maintain this sort of thing.
But even at that, right now, you're not mowing it, right?
We are,
You are still mowing it,
we are.
even though you said that's the property owner's responsibility.
We are mowing the swale because we have still, as I said, we didn't just sod it and walk away. We have continued to look at it at least weekly, and where there have been spots that look like they need care, we've continued to work on them. We didn't just walk away from them. So we have been mowing to make sure that it doesn't get scalped or something like that, that it's mowed in optimal conditions to keep, you know, stabilizing as much as possible.
I mean, we are mowing, I mean, you see from the picture, we're mowing it considerably higher.
Right.
Those root in and
Yeah.
So that would continue until the NPDES permit is closed out?
That's been my instruction to Rodney to do, because that's how we've handled other situations like this, under my direction anyway. I don't know if we would agree with that, but that's what we're doing.
when the NOT comes to them, that's when we.
Right, that's when we tell them it's their responsibility.
But that's landmark going above and beyond. They have no responsibility to mow that swale.
Yeah, I'm just trying to avoid blurring that. You know, if it said, hey, you'll do this and you'll own it until this time, and then we get a big, something really bad happens there, and you guys are like, hey, that's yours, and then we're going back to, well, technically you were dealing with it until the NPDES permit came through.
We are dealing with it. We have been taking care of it all this time.
The key is just to make sure people are aware, they know what's going to be, and there's not a gray area that we're all sitting here doing this again.
And that's why
If something goes wrong.
I do send a letter out saying, hey, folks, this is the cutoff point from, you know, obviously everyone knows we've been maintaining it, their backyard, they're looking at it. That's why
And your
I
cutoff
said
point would be the,
when we
release
get
of
that termination notice from the Conservation District.
So here's a proposal. What if we get from you copies of when you notify those homeowners? Okay, is that fair? Middle ground here. copies it when you notify the homeowners. Let's table this one for 30 days. Get you time to get those out there so we have that in our documentation here. Because I think that might alleviate some of Craig's comments, okay? And then we'll circle back and make a final determination here. Because at this point in time, I don't see that there's any of these fundamental facts, my opinion, solely my opinion, that are going to fundamentally change that, yes, this should be taken over by those homeowners and you should be resolved in that situation.
So your notice of property owners would essentially be tied into as well your NPDS termination, right?
Yes.
You're gonna put that in that, but that letter will go out
That's what I
prior
do
to
there.
notify.
That's what I do, that's when I do it, when we get that termination.
Okay.
That's when we notify them.
I think that sounds reasonable.
Correct.
Okay?
I mean, I would prefer not to have to maintain it, continue to maintain it.
I'm gonna care about this one, yes.
I would highlight, the landlord does not have to maintain that swale and continue to mow it. It's just if something detrimental happens. But the homeowners
Well,
could have been mowing it.
we had to get it to the point that we had to maintain it so that we get to this point that we can dedicate it. So if we turn this over, who knows what it would look like at that point.
You may wanna wait, yeah, it says.
So we have to maintain it so that when we come back in a month, that it still looks at its current
There's no
level.
fundamental changes.
Right. Because if we don't, who will? And then there becomes a bigger problem.
And I think what you're hearing is probably the biggest concern is making sure those homeowners are reminded of the contracts that they had in place when they were
We can send that out tomorrow to let them know that this is what, their responsibility will be. Again,
Because
we're maintaining, again.
a month from now, that won't change. What the homeowner's responsibility will be.
Right, but we can send it out now. I mean, again,
So then we can table it to the next, that's a fair comment. We can table it to the next meeting and come up with a final determination at the next meeting. Because then we have those documents here.
So we have your paperwork, yeah. You can see, we don't want them all coming in. You understand?
Well, it's a win for you guys too, because you showed as a developer, you're going over and above for your clients. You're doing what needs to be done, and that's a good selling point for your end.
We're all sold.
Yeah, I may be willing to, I mean, it might be a sort of a fluffy way to say it, but it is really a way you can make a positive spin.
Question, yes, sir.
It's more of a
Can
comment.
you identify your name, please?
Lorenzo Benora. It's more of a comment. I mean, it sounds like you guys are going above and beyond. And when you guys make a decision at the next meeting, what if these people come in here and say, we're not happy with the current condition? Where are you guys gonna stand then? Like, if it's been 2 years, like I had a house, Garmin built, and I had a swale just like this. Was I ever happy? No. But I knew what I was buying when I bought it. These people obviously know as well. It's probably never gonna get better, but obviously they gotta move on too. And it's just part of the process. Like, these people knew what they were getting. If they're maintaining every week, every 2 weeks, they've gone above and beyond. Like, I don't know as a board what you guys could be asking them more. I mean, no offense to your guys' decision, but I'm sure they got informed when they bought it. Like, I got informed when I bought it, and I used to complain too back to Garmin, but I didn't get nowhere. But that's just my comment.
Yes, sir.
Doug Macklin. Right now, we're covering the present owners. What happened, and I know the answer to this, and so do these two people up here. Homeowner A decides today he's gonna sell his house. How do you know, as a board, that information that he has in his head, he doesn't get selective amnesia and not tell the next guy that, hey, you gotta maintain this and blah, blah, blah. You're putting these people on the hook, this could go on forever and ever.
Recorded easement on.
If it's told to them, and if they read it.
That's it.
You don't, you know, I don't have any responsibility as a homeowner selling my house other than disclosure. If that next guy gets selective amnesia, you're out of luck.
Well, I can give you my opinion, Mr. Mackley. That comes down to a legal liability and a disclosure issue between the homeowners.
But I understand that, but in the meantime, then you're holding these two people hostage or their group hostage for another 30 days. It keeps going and going. When does it stop? And I agree with what Lorenzo's saying.
No, we're
You
just
guys
saying,
need to make a decision.
we're just saying until the next meeting. The middle ground we're coming to is just until the next meeting to address some of Craig's comments in terms of we then have documentation internally that those homeowners were
Sir.
reminded of what those documents were. So we have them internally. So that if they come in and they do complain,
They will.
we have the documentation written legally in writing of what
Yep.
their closing documents were and what they're responsible for. That's all we're asking.
And then they're gonna turn the ball on you guys and be obviously mad at you guys if you make that decision, obviously, which is normal. It's normal.
That's why you sit here.
What do you wanna make a decision without their, at least ability to have input, and they're not happy? Or do you wanna make that same decision, but they had a chance to be, to be heard?
I agree.
I mean, while Doug was talking, I was thinking to myself, I wonder if it's been 2 years, you know, I wonder if there has been turnover already.
Right.
No, it's not.
There's no,
I
okay.
can confirm
No, I
that.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't want to get,
I'm just saying that here was the world, boom, 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 boom. And I believe her when she says, you know, they got notice, okay? But suddenly stuff changes and
can you take dedication of this swale condition upon, or take approval of this swale in its current condition, with the condition that you're going to be receiving the documentation that supports their responsibilities to this? I mean, I don't want to get to the point where we're in a month and then we're spending another $1,000 to get everybody out there to do another review, and now, because as Casey said, it's not an engineering review. I mean, it really, it's, you know, we're looking at whether this swale is acceptable in its current condition.
Yeah, that's a fair middle ground to the middle ground. Yes, I could live with that.
Because I don't want to, you know, in 6 months or a month, you know, who knows what, I got to spend more money to say, okay, this is acceptable, when it's not an engineering responsibility at this point. So we can, if you can accept it as its current state, with the condition that the notification to the residents is acceptable, that would be an area that I think would be done.
I personally would be okay with that, again, because I'm listening to what you're saying, and you've been more than reasonable. You've exhausted the options available with the conditions you have there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. The pictures tell the story. There's definitely improvements there. It looks stabilized. At some point, you've got to be able to watch it.
So in that case, they take or the board makes a motion to accept the swale in its current, approve the swale in its current condition, contingent upon Landmark notifying the property owners of the new requirements, or of the requirements within 1 week of the date of this, because that'll give us a week between our next meeting in case people do come in. I guess the only other part is, though, you still, unofficially will be required if this thing blows up until your NPDS permit expires.
We have to answer them, but
Yeah.
but
So there is a further
that's-
safety if something, the bottom drops out, that we're
Right,
not.
of course, we have the NPDS permit still in place. Just make sure I understand. I'm going to provide documentation to you, Mike, of what copies of what we provided to them when they purchased their homes. Is that right? Have I got that right? And then also, or do you just want the letters I'm sending out now
your courtesy reminder now, I think is sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, you don't have to do through the historical.
I don't have
on
to
those
dig because I just had to do it with the notice of termination.
No, as long as we, again, our intent is really just to have documentation internally that they were courtesy reminded again of those obligations that they have.
Okay. I know Ken did meet with the property owners at lot 23, but I don't think you met with all the ones
No.
upstream.
The lot 23 is the one with the
The
basin?
big basin,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've met with the people who have the basin,
Okay.
but not the others.
Okay, so your motion will be to approve swale, or note swale 1 is as acceptable, contingent upon landmark notifying the property owners and provide documentation of that notification to the township within 1 week.
I will make that motion. Correction there is B1 is.
Is what I said.
One.
Oh, 1. Go
You
ahead.
want-
B or should be?
I was trying to make sure I could call you for a council for a second there. I was, on that. Okay. B1.
So, no, motion's on the table. Do I hear a second?
I will second that.
And a second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're on a basin.
Thank you again.
Take care.
Okay.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is earth, turf, and wood transportation impact fee payment request.
Yeah, we, action concerning this plan was approved back on July 1st, and I know we had a pre-construction meeting out there
Last
Thursday. Things are being processed in regard, I believe we'll be receiving the letter of credit today. That was the projection from Effort National. Building permits are being submitted, or may have already been submitted, and then there's some items that'll need to be recorded still, the plan, and you guys had approved the 2 resolutions earlier, so all this stuff's going to be recorded. But since we're getting to the building permit phase, we have to then look at how we're going to process the traffic impact fee payment. And the applicant had requested the $22,650 transportation impact fee payment to be paid to the township monthly at $943.75 for the next 24 months. So I did look back. Initially, his request was to do it over, I think, almost like 4 years. And historically, there's been some that the township has done over 2 years, so we sort of capped it at 2. We don't necessarily have, at this point in time, an agreement. That's something that we could use for these circumstances. That's something that the Transportation Advisory Committee will be discussing a little bit with their solicitor on Monday night. But the total is set. It's just a matter of, are you willing to allow this to be paid in installments for the next 24 months? And if so, there would need to be a motion to permit Jared Hinson from Earth, Turf, and Wood to pay the required $22,650 in transportation impact fees in installments of $943.75 per month for a 24-month period, beginning with the issuance of the building permit for the project. It's really just formalizing.
Correct. And Doug Mack, he's in the back of the room. I'm going to ask him this question. This is something that had been done in the past with other TIF applicants, had it not done? Do you remember?
Best of my memory, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's reasonable.
Yeah, I don't see it as precedent setting at all. We've done it for others, we should do it for him as well.
It's a, I won't say it's a loan, but it's, what if they're not here in 18 months?
And I asked that with the solicitor from the impact committee group, and he said, well, generally these are notes on plans now. I think this amount that he has to pay is noted and recorded on the plan. So we do have ways to protect ourselves in the interim that way. But my thought was, instead of, we could either continue to use that, but how these plans that gets, there was 25 pages and they get lost. If there would be a format that maybe we could work on, that in case this comes up, it'd be an easier look at processing. So we are protected from that.
Very good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just a question, Mike, what was the number, $22,650 total?
Yeah,
And the proposal would be 24 months,
right.
and that should be $943.75 by my calculation.
Yes,
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay, I misunderstood,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments? So, Mike?
About that motion again?
Yeah.
Motion to permit Jared Henson from Earth, Turf, and Wood to pay the required $22,650 in transportation impact fees in installments of $942.75 per month for a 24-month period, beginning with the issuance of the building permit for the project.
And I will make that motion. Do I hear a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
And I hear a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Casey. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the police pension plan. Want me to make just
Sure.
a general comment first, and then we can get into those details. General comment for the municipality and the public. I am very, very pleased to announce that after
Forever?
3.5 years of, help me out here,
I think it's since 2019.
2018.
I thought, no, you might be right.
Yeah, we moved funds in October 18th of 2018. So
Okay.
since 2018, the police pension committee has we've easily put in thousands of hours behind the scenes, and the police pension plan is fully funded. I'm very proud to announce that. I also want to specifically thank Chief Kepley. These are the committee members. Chief Kepley, Officer Fisher, Officer Brogan, Officer Walsh, Jill Corden, one of the residents who's assisting us on the financial end, myself, our township manager, Scott Russell, who began the process, Elizabeth Dorneman, who was our financial administrator, who began that process also. So I'm very excited by that, and I think the officers are also. So thank you to that entire group for all their efforts, and they're not done. We continue to monitor that plan quarterly. We continue to meet with Gerard and the administrators biannually. And I also want to express a thank you to my prior supervisors, Doug Mackley and Alan Fry, for having the courage that when we sat down with them in 2018, rolled out the proposal of making these substantial changes. It was a risk, and it was well worth the risk. Thank you, gentlemen. I think, yeah, you're both here. Okay, Mike.
Okay.
Now the nuts and bolts.
Yep, sure. The committee met on July 28th with Ron Bittner from Gerard Consulting to discuss the calculations and various scenarios that were completed for us to consider our revised MMO and looking at the revised actuarial chart and our interest rate assumptions moving forward. The plan is fully funded, so there were various scenarios that were looked at to see how we can best maximize the state aid and make sure that we are moving in a way that mirrors where we want to go and to take advantage of the opportunities we have here. So the assumptions that were discussed were updating the mortality table to the public safety projected scale using a scale MP 2020. We were also looking to reduce the long-term interest rate from the fund from 6.5% to 6.0%. and a continuation of asset smoothing, and the COLA issue had been addressed previously. So any different scenarios, the committee discussed and is proposing scenario 3, which again is designed to maximize the state aid and to essentially put us in a position that we can make sure we ride out this positive end and also be able to easily deal with any type of downturns in the market so that we are able to continue to move forward. What that does for our MMO, it drops our MMO, the estimated MMO amount for this year was like in the $480,000 range. That would take us down to $248,125, and that is before you would look at the contributions from the police department as well as the state aid. So eventually it drops the township's MMO contribution to $28,125 for the next year. There were some other scenarios that were able to use where the township would have really a zero MMO, but at the same time, that would not enable us to do some of the things we were looking to do with the rate, going from 6.5 to 6.0. That would have kept the rate at 6.5, and it would not have maximized the funding that we could get from the state. Under that second scenario, we would have got $100,000 back in state aid funding, whereas now we're going to be able to get $150,000 back in doing it. So the pension committee, there's a couple items that need to be still worked out with the board moving forward. The first thing that we need to do today is to consider the recommendation of the police pension committee to use scenario 3, as I just described, as prepared by Gerard to finalize the assumptions for the 2022 minimum municipal obligation calculation. So essentially, we're making that approval from the board end to pass on so that we can get the MMO worked out for next year and get those things processed.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Yeah. So one of the ways to look at this also is what we're doing right now is modeling. We ran models on different scenarios, and one of the things we're trying to balance is that we have the minimum municipal obligation, but we have the state contribution portion of it. So we want to make sure we recoup the state portion of that to its maximum level. That's one of the things we were balancing in these different calculations and these assumptions. Okay? So we made sure, Craig, that we maximized the state aid portion that we would normally get. We did it in such a way we grab 100% of that state aid that we're entitled to without losing that money. Okay?
Yeah, RC, if I could add.
Yes, sir.
If we would have gone down to a zero MMO, we would have only got $100,000 from the state. By having a $28,000 MMO, we get $150,000 from the state. So we actually make, we're not making money, but we're maximizing how much we get back.
Correct. Yes.
So even though we have an MMO, we're actually doing better.
Yes, yes. And that's exactly right. So from a dollar and cents perspective, it's $100,000 on the MMO versus $150,000. So at $100,000 in state aid, let me correct that. At $100,000 in state aid, our MMO would be zero. But the maximum we can get is $150,000 from the state aid. So let's grab the extra $50,000 from the state aid and put in the police pension fund. And by getting the extra $50,000, we're only adding in $28,125.
We net 22.
We net 22, that's absolutely correct. Yep. Go ahead.
Arson, if I may.
Yes.
Actually, I have a feeling that we're going to get 160,000 because we have 16 officers. And if we get 10,000 an officer for state aid, that's actually going to be 160, but we kept it at 150 just to be sure.
And that was mentioned at the...
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Chief.
Okay, so we have that first component, which is the actual one we should take today, so we can get this part moving. The second component that the board will discuss as we move a little further into the season is, one, since we're now fully funded, what do we want to do with the contributions that the police officers make? Right now, they make a contribution of 5%. And that's where we calculated in 70,000 roughly for the members' contributions. You know, do we want to look at considering a possibility of reducing that for the next 2 years to a certain percentage. So we have to look at those, and that's more of a policy decision from the board. It's not going to impact what's done with what we're doing today. And then the other opportunity there is the ARPA funds, and we're trying to get clarification on this, in that whether we're able to use those funds that we received to offset our MMO plus the contribution, if there was a reduced contribution from the department themselves, since it's fully funded. The third component of this would be what we want to do with these MMO savings, and again, this will be a board policy decision. We want to make sure that we're budgeting accordingly so that if we do see an uptick or turn, it's not something that we're then scurrying around to try and fill. But at the same time, it offers some opportunities to free up some monies to move into, like let's say a capital account that we can have flexibility with if we have to move forward. So we're not dropping our budget from going from 400,000 and then next year budgeting 28, and then a year or two later we find that we need to get back up into that range and we're constantly chasing that. We're able to sort of moderate that a little bit. So these are all policy decisions that can happen after the fact. The only is one action we need today to keep this moving along. And the last component is, as you recall, we haven't received it back yet, but we did do the authorize the OPEB study. So we are going to see what those liabilities will officially look like moving forward. We don't know what that is right now, but we'll have a better idea once that's done. And that sort of will also come into the discussions of how to possibly use some of these MMO savings moving forward to make sure that through this good period, we are as solid as we can be, and then we'll just deal with what comes down the road. So those are items that I just want to make sure that we're on the board's sort of radar. But again, in order for us to move forward for today and to get this MMO calculation completed so that we can take our official action, there is a motion to accept the recommendation of the Police Pension Committee to use scenario 3 as prepared by Gerard to finalize the assumptions for the 2022 minimum municipal obligation calculation.
Questions? Yes, sir.
Back in April, when I sent yourself and Supervisor Mitchell my name and what have you for seeking appointment to this board, I said in that letter that I am a recipient of a police pension, having retired in 1995. I'm under the old system, I'll call it, as opposed to the new system. I do not receive OPEB, and I'm not complaining because, you know, you agree to whatever the system is at that time, and that's the deal. But I did say in the letter that I sent both of you that I would be abstaining from any vote on pension issues as someone who receives a pension from this township. And I say that up front, I say it clean, and I say it so you'll understand my abstention.
Thank you for that. Completely understand, thank you. Okay. But you can still comment in terms, with your knowledge, you can still offer comments, recommendations at any time, you know that, with your knowledge on these plans. So, Jeff, questions?
Sounds like none are forthcoming.
Well,
That's okay. No.
the investment policy statement for the plan may need to be amended depending on what steps and what y'all pursue as you go down this road. You may need to amend that investment policy statement to be reflective of the current.
Yeah, I see this as a series of steps that each one has to be evaluated as it goes. You know, I was just thrown this yesterday, so in 24 hours getting my hands around it are a little challenging because a lot of questions arise. But looking at the scenario 3, it seems like a no-brainer moving ahead with that. Because it'll open the doors and allow us to further evaluate where this is going. So, you know, I have no problem with that idea and that motion moving forward.
Okay. So I will make a motion And that motion will be accept the recommendation of the Police Pension Committee to use scenario 3 as prepared by Gerard to finalize the assumptions for the 2022 MMO, minimum municipal obligation calculations.
Yes, and I'll second that.
And you'll second.
Yep.
Oh, yes, sir.
Just a question, Mike, mortality assumptions. I understand they dropped some of those. Is that, am I getting fake information or
No,
did they say anything?
it changed from, they were using
wasn't a lot.
2017 IRS prescribed mortality, and now it's going to one that's earmarked or directed to public, essentially public employees in this regard. So they've gone now and made the change to the Public Safety Projected Scale MP 2020. So they changed the scale that they were using for that.
Yeah, and to answer your question directly, Chief and Officer Toad, you guys can remind me, but during the meeting, Gerard did notify us. I guess the way to say it, Doug, would be there was an improvement on the life expectancy on those tables.
Good.
It's probably the best way to say it.
If I remember, it didn't change the numbers.
No, it was
Very,
very slight.
Okay.
Tenths to 100ths of a percentage.
Okay. All right.
But
Thank
there
you.
was a very, very slight improvement.
I didn't think it went from 68 to 7 or 68 to 65 or anything like that. It just,
No.
it dropped down.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Abstention.
Craig Eversole abstains. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next item. Department reports. Police Department report.
I don't have anything. Sorry, Derek.
Sorry, I just have two things to add real quick, and then I apologize, Sergeant Proden. I hear that National Night Out was a complete success. Approximately 1,000 people attended, which is phenomenal. And I just want to say thank you to Sergeant Savage, Officer Odenwald, for all their efforts. I know Sergeant Proden did help them when needed, but the time and effort that went into this by Sergeant Savage and Officer Rachel Odenwald is tremendous. So I think that's something that we should thank them for to make it a success. And the other thing is the consortium testing. The application process closes for that August 13th, I believe it is. And the consortium testing will be held at Elizabethtown High School on September 11th and 12th that weekend. So if anyone's interested in a career in law enforcement, please apply and attend on September 11th weekend. So that's all I have. Sorry, Chris.
No, the only thing I was going to add to that, Derek, is, and you know this, but Steve worked real hard to get donations from businesses. We always got some donations, but he probably doubled what we normally got. So there was no cost at all. The taxpayers or nothing came out of the police budget for National Night Out. Everything you saw was paid for by donations from businesses and volunteers. It was great. I mean, we can't express our gratitude to everybody that donated money and time put into that program. So.
Chief, aren't you supposed to be on vacation?
I am.
Okay. Just checking.
I was at the National Night Out, and I would not argue at all with the number of 1,000 people there during the course of the evening, or maybe even more. It was a very relaxed event, a very family-oriented event, and I thought it was a huge success, so kudos to y'all.
Yes, and Officer Proden, you need to thank Officer Stauffer for almost getting hypothermia in the dump tank. He looked a little blue around the edges. He took one for the team, as I saw it.
He's a new guy, yes.
And I don't know whether it was a department Frank or not, but he said his towel somehow got all wet.
That was
so-
his fault.
But kudos for him for taking one for the
He
team.
said, unless we hire somebody else, he'll be back next year.
You know who's gonna be there.
Yeah.
But yes, it was a nice event and well attended, real positive community, and good job to you
Yeah, we
guys.
got a lot of positive feedback from the
Yes.
community.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Financial administrator report, that'll be done on the 19th. Zoning officer report, we'll handle that on the 19th.
Yeah, if you guys would, I know this is the structure that we've used, but in regard to, if we're not gonna have a report, you're all right with me just clearing them off?
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, there's no sense if that's something.
Great,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay.
Sleeping.
And then road department will do a detailed report on the 19th unless, Brett, there was anything pressing you wanted to bring up now.
No, like I said, the only thing that I really have on topic tonight is this morning, is the road department restroom bath, or project.
Okay. And then,
Is he gonna?
you want to do that now?
Yeah, that's fine, yep. So just to bring the board's attention, I did have a meeting with Ken McCray out on site. Oh, I know the last thing that was talked about was the kind of the separator to go into that project that was discussed in the previous plans for that project. After meeting with Ken out on site, we had kind of came up with the same idea that the separator in that area of my garage or the bathroom location is not needed for that bathroom project. I did not wash vehicles in that garage. The pipes out in the garage floor right now are capped. The only thing that will run from that bathroom to the new tank that is installed is the bathroom and what's being done in that bathroom. So I don't feel like, and I have spill kits on site in the garage in case of a spill or something leaks from one of the trucks in a, forgive me, a instance that doesn't happen all the time. But with that being said, and also I did kind of look into some of these quotes that were that I had on hand, and with the one quote not including the tank, I got pricing from a local contractor on a tank that they can deliver and basically place the tank needed, which would possibly save us money in that project as well. So what I did was I went back to the other two contractors that did not have the tank included to see if they could send me an updated quote without the tank to match, so everyone's quotes would match. I did receive one yesterday. I'm still waiting to receive the other one. However, he just had a family emergency a family emergency inside the business, basically with that business, the guy that owns the business. So I'm asking the board to possibly allow me to get that updated quote and re-present this on the August 19th meeting. To try to get a finalized answer, to give him a chance to get back to me, and we can evaluate the cost at that time.
Yeah, this is really, I want to make sure we follow up. We talked at the last meeting to bring it up to this one, and because we're trying to make sure, and I think it was the intent of the board, let's get some apples to apples to compare, and make sure we address some of these other components. Just wanted to update you, and if you have any questions, so that can be prepared for the next meeting.
Good.
Just for an informational basis, what did you find with looking into the tanks?
So the tanks, the two quotes that I have, the tanks were between $4,000 and $5,000. When I called the one local contractor, he said $1,886 delivered. So it's quite the difference in pricing there. So if we can eliminate that from the quote, that can be installed by the company that's bringing it, we can save a couple $1,000s just in that.
So it's the company that sells it gives you that price?
Yes, yeah, and that is the delivered price.
Yeah, well, that's why you do research. And they are apples and apples, I guess.
Yes.
Tanks are, okay.
Yep.
So see what the markup looks like, I guess.
Right, middleman.
It shows you something. Well, that's good to know.
So,
That's good to know.
yeah.
Helps you move forward.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. Okay.
Some questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Jim came back, how many certified herbicide roadmaster or road crew people do we have now?
Currently, we do not have any.
Still?
I did not, and I'll go on record to say, I did not pass my test, so I actually have to get retested.
Were you the only one that took it?
Me and Troy both. Me and a crew member. So I have to get retested, and that is scheduled for September 10th.
So we still don't have the poison ivy at Old Homestead basketball court sprayed yet? Is that what that means?
We can't spray it
I
internally.
can't spray anything.
We have used Vantage, is that who's Vantage has sprayed in other areas, so that is, a possibility where they could then spray that as well. But internally, yeah, we can't do it until there's certification, even if, regardless of what we're spraying, if it's a public area, we need to be certified.
Did you say that somebody in Denver has the certification though?
There is a, there's,
I thought we were gonna swap out services for something.
yeah, we talked about doing that when we were looking to do the playground at Stony Point, but I think at that time Bandage had already sprayed that area, so we didn't need to switch. And the goal then as well was to try and, not to squeeze something in as quickly as possible, but to look at more long-term opportunities and how we can share some things like this if we're going to have to do that on a regular basis. And I know I wanted to make sure the board had a chance to consider it and Borough Council had a chance to consider it, and I think it's all in the sort of the idea of how do we work together and share resources.
Thank you. And do we know when the lines are gonna be painted on the developments that were resurfaced?
I just actually talked to them yesterday. He has us on the schedule. He does not have a date quite yet. He said he'll reach it back out to me within the next 2 weeks to give me a tentative date on that.
Okay, hopefully before school starts, when the buses start going through the
Right.
developments again?
Yep.
Thank you.
I did want to bring to the board's attention as far as the Stony Point project. I did receive the wedge that is not inspected completely open yet to the public. I received the wedge yesterday. I'm hoping to get that installed later this afternoon or first thing tomorrow. And then Mike will reach out as far as getting final inspection over there to try to get that playground up and running, or open to the public.
Officially.
Officially, yes. Officially, yes.
Is the yellow tape still up?
I think they're stepping over it, or under it now.
I was gonna say, believe it or not, it's been up.
Let's jump over it.
Yeah, right.
Good.
Right, thank you, Brad. The next item, MS4 stormwater, Ken.
Yes, we have finally closed out the community conservation grant, which is the funding used to do the stream bank project on Stony Run, adjacent to the township building. All the paperwork has been filed and financial stuff, and that's all been accepted, and so that is completed. One thing I want to mention is the riparian buffer around that. In other words, the area where you have vegetation that isn't to be disturbed in the future. Initially, I've marked out 35 feet, which is the minimum amount required in order to get some MS4 sediment credit on the project. But I want to expand that to 75 feet, which is what's in the township's regulations on the required width of a riparian buffer. It seemed appropriate that we be matching that.
We get any extra credits then for that additional, for more than doubling it?
I have to check on that. The answer is probably, but I can't give you a number right now. I don't know yet.
Thank you.
But what it is taking an area that was being mowed and turning it in on a regular basis and something that's going to be mowed basically once a year to keep it in meadow rather than having brush and shrubs start coming up. One other comment on that is I also coordinated with Chief Kepley and his concerns about the potential for hiding places and things like that as a safety issue. And he's okay with it as long as we keep the shrubs along the stream to a maximum height of 4 feet. Okay, so that is all I have for right now.
Thank you.
That would be a maintenance item for you, Brett, when things really get growing.
Right.
Okay, moving on to treasurer's report, list of bills.
List of bills. We've got multiple lists of bills today. Start out the first one with the general fund. Amount of $117,472.63. Is there any questions on that list as presented?
With the check 61269, before that,
What's that number again?
61269.
269. Oh, that was to Judy. I believe there was a retirement gift to the zoning officer, and I think the other was a reimbursement on medical.
Can I look at the reimbursement of medical then after the meeting?
Yeah, we've got the bills. Mike, you've got the bills?
Yeah, you want to look at a reimbursement of someone's medical?
I'd like to discuss that with you after the meeting.
Yeah, maybe we could discuss, I'll have to make sure, just from a HIPAA end, no one spread anything. Yeah, so maybe we could discuss.
Okay, I don't,
That's a HIPAA item.
okay. When we went to Benetcon, and did eye and dental, there were no reimbursements to the personnel. Now, but that was changed last November when we negotiated the pension thing with the police, and they did a side agreement with the police only.
Well, if you want to, after the meeting, if you want to.
We need to discuss it.
I mean, I obviously will have to protect what I can show.
Yeah, I don't need to know what,
find out from the other end. So your question essentially is, under the current stipulation, are reimbursements for non-uniform people no longer
Exists,
in
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Jeff, you mentioned, Alan asked you a question on check 62169.
Yes.
You just said, and I hope you said it wrong, that you think it's for Tony's retirement. And he quit as far as I knew, he didn't retire.
Well, okay.
Now I'm asking you, did
Yes.
he retire or did he quit? Well, it's not funny, I'm asking you.
No, okay, yeah, he retired from our employment.
He quit, he didn't retire. He retired when he was 65 years old.
He retired from our employment.
He resigned.
Which check was it? Which check?
61269.
Anything else? Yes, sir.
61256. Beckert, $510.
Yes, that's our lawyer, labor lawyer.
Am I able to see that or no? See a copy of that?
Yeah, I'll take a look and see, and if it is, then we'll process I think the way we talked about doing the right to know, just to make sure we have the official process to go through. I don't expect there's anything there, but I'd have to look at it.
I recall reading that bill, it said 20 minutes for a phone call on this date and 0.3 of an hour for a phone call on that date, etc. I don't recall reading anything that actually.
Interesting.
I identified, if you will.
Is that the same one on 61264 then, for the 510? That's probably the same one, yep. I assume. It's the fourth one down. Oh, that's a
different attorney. That's Goodman. A lot of that gets passed through to developers.
Okay.
Yeah, and the issue for the 61256 is call concerning labor issue, email with me regarding right to know request, communication with opposing counsel concerning right to know request, and receipt and review of request for right to know. So they were follow-ups on right to know request concerning a labor issue that we wanted to confirm the process with our attorney to make sure we were following the right guidelines.
That was the breakdown, I remember.
Yep.
Nothing.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Can you specify on the state liquid fuels bank account, which road projects they were for?
We'll get to that. That's a later motion.
All right, thank you.
But anything on this list of bills?
I make a motion that we pay the bills as noted.
Okay, and I will second your motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries.
Okay. The second one is a capital reserve account for $130,000. That is part of the road project bill. That money is in capital reserve. It's a separate check because we have to pull it out to pay the bill.
Which roads, which project?
Well, yes, it's Roseville, it's the other one, and Martin Paving is in there too. But
Well, Martin Paving is on the other one, isn't it?
well, it's a combination of the three. We didn't have enough in the state liquid fuels account to pay for that. So we had this sitting in capital reserve to pull it out for this.
Well,
To
how did
pay
it
all
take it out?
three projects.
How did we take it out of the capital reserve because it wasn't put in the budget in time,
Well,
right? Because of what went on. That's a big difference.
okay. Anybody else?
So what about Muddy Creek Village, is that part of that too?
It's part of that too.
The capital reserve account?
No, it's part of the total of the two. If you want the breakdown on what each one was, we'll show it.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, we've got it up here. After the meeting, we'll pull that out if you'd like to see that.
Yeah, just the total cost to H&K Group, who did those two paving projects, was $293,81, which is what was paid $130,000 out of the one fund, and then $210,293.81 out of the other. And they went to both H&K for their paving projects, I think Rose Hill and what was the other one?
Muddy Creek.
Muddy Creek, yeah. And then Martin Paving was $67,515.65, and they were paid out of, obviously just paid directly to Martin Paving for that work that was done.
And then did we pay for the street that goes over the turnpike? It's another creek road. Let's see, it comes behind Quail Hollow.
That's the state road.
Oh, the state did that?
Something
Okay,
like that.
thank you. Good, that's good that the state did it.
Okay, so I will make a motion to pay from capital reserve account the $130,000. Do I hear a second?
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries.
Okay, the next one, from the hydrant fund account. An amount of $15,795. Any questions there? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve as listed.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Okay, the next one, from the state liquid fuels account, a amount of $277,809.46. Is there any questions there? This does, as Mike had stated, include the balance of those paving projects. Hearing none, I make a motion to approve as listed.
And I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
And the last one, electronic payment list, bills in the amount of $174,098. This is payroll taxes, all of that. So is there any further questions? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve as listed.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? And motion carries. Yes, sir.
RC, I'm sorry, I gotta ask a question. I know it's just me being me, but going back to that check, 6216 or 61269, I'd like to know what the $80 for retirement is for that Jeff talked about.
The bill's up here if you'd like to see.
Oh, I'm asking you now. I want to hear it public.
It was a gift for Tony's leaving the building.
So you gave somebody who resigned.
One of the employees.
Alan resigned, did he get an $80 gift?
One of the employees did.
I'm asking the question, it's a public meeting. Was Alan awarded a gift when he left? I don't remember that. I don't think he was.
Okay.
And this is taxpayer money.
It is.
And you're handing it out like an
No,
award. You're handing it
one
out
of
like
the
an award
employees
for quitting.
This would fall under Mike's direction.
Did Mike buy it? Did you buy it? Did RC buy it? Who bought it?
We did.
Judy bought it.
Yeah, it's a little suspect, I'm sorry.
All right.
I mean, you guys all sat up there and you talked about this guy like he walked on water. And he leaves and he gets an award. And it's taxpayer money. I'm sorry, Mike, you got drug into the middle of this and that wasn't the intent.
Yeah.
Those three guys are the supervisors. I know you work at their request, I understand that. But I think it's wrong.
And I guess I believe that was for a fruit basket, was what was there. And I see the point. It's taxpayer, regardless of who it is,
It doesn't, it could be Charlie Brown, that's right.
And I think then, if it's going to be something then that obviously would fall under, from my end, I probably would want to propose a different policy to the board to avoid that.
Right.
And I could just say, even from that, like, we provided pizza for that event, and I paid for the pizza, because I didn't want to come through the township for that. I didn't want to answer that question.
Thank you.
So I would kind of keep that same process in place. And that's something then that I'll make sure the board's okay with what that policy is, and the town staff is available.
I just think this board has talked about it, especially Jeff has talked about being transparent. He's talked about that for years and years. And you were the only one that gave out the answer. You couldn't even be fruitful about that. So, And Jeff, you can sit there and shake your head.
Now hold on a minute.
No,
What about, a retirement gift to an employee? Am I not being transparent about?
You
The
didn't
list is
retire.
right there.
You didn't retire,
No,
Jeff. You're
it's
stretching the
semantics.
point. You're
That's
stretching the
semantics.
point.
No, it's
What did his
semantics.
letter say that he gave you? It
Resign.
said he resigned, it didn't say he was retiring. Did you give something to Elizabeth at her funeral when she died?
Yes, we gave flowers.
Okay, good, good.
They do.
good.
That's different. That's
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
It's a tragedy. That was a
Absolutely,
tragedy.
absolutely.
That shouldn't
I mean, I
even
think
be
this is
discussed.
getting ridiculous.
Yeah, you're right.
Liz shouldn't even be
Yeah,
brought up.
you're
Right.
That's
absolutely
stupid.
right.
I think the goal too,
Well, I
just
wanted to make sure they did, because I didn't know if they
They
did.
said
I wasn't being
just keep
negative.
in mind, that the goal obviously is from a, as we're moving forward, we want people to be valued when you volunteer here, when you work here, when you're elected here, when you're participating here. So we just got to find the best way to make that focus be on how do we honor that value and how do we represent it, but to do it the right way. And I think there's some bumps in the road, and you work through it. You try to make sure you get it right, but that's the key. Ultimately, we want people to be here to focus on all the good things that are happening, and the bad things. You know what? If we make a mistake, we'll fix the mistake. But let's celebrate the fact that we're here in the township. So it's going to take a little bit to get to that, but I think that's the general direction. At least I would like it to go.
Thank you.
Moving on to old business. I think we have anything for this
Well,
meeting.
the only thing, and most of y'all were there, but we did host the regional meeting
Yes, sir.
at the Williamstown Fire Company, and most of you were there. And to those who are on Zoom today that were not on Zoom that night, it was well attended. There was definitely more of an audience than there had been at the last meeting at the high school. I found the high school report very interesting regarding their survey and a decent return on their survey and what they plan to do going forward, what have you. And the next host is going to be Adamstown. And as of now, it's tentatively planned, I believe, to be at the new library.
Correct.
Correct.
So,
Can I make a suggestion about that, though? I had no idea who most of those people were. Nobody identifies themselves. I didn't know if
well,
that woman,
they did at the meeting at the high school.
but not at this meeting. I didn't go to the one at the high school. I didn't know who that woman was with Doug. So I had no idea who she was. I didn't know if she was a superintendent. I didn't
She
know
was not.
who she
She
was.
said she was there representing the superintendent.
She's assistant superintendent.
Right.
Well,
It's fair comment.
it would be nice if we knew who the people were that were there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
It's a fair comment. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me we had that on the 27th. Okay, new business.
No, there was going to be a COVID item, but I'll just throw it under mine if that's okay.
Okay. Jeff, anything?
No.
Okay, manager's report.
Yeah, we're moving along good today, so I don't want to. Just a couple quick items. I did think, I was initially notified that there would be some people from the rec board here, but I think the morning meeting threw off a couple of the ability to be here. So I did say I would pass these on, and as I put in my report. One thing that they're looking at is to add a similar controller to the lights that we put at the basketball court and please correct me, I'm calling this the Reamstown Pool Park. That's kind of bulky, and I don't know if that's the right terminology to use. I don't want to set anybody off by calling it the wrong thing, but I can't say Reamstown Park because it's not the Reamstown Park,
You can say the RPP.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll come up with a nice name or a nice way of that. But the tennis courts there have lights, but there's no controller. So the rec board had got a quote, the same exact quote from Victor Electric to install a 24-hour timer inside the box and a 60-minute timer out on the exterior of the box at a cost of $950. That is currently installed on the basketball court, so it would be a similar situation that if you want to play tennis down there, you could do it into the evening. At 9:30, the lights automatically turn off. So whether you turn it for 60 minutes at 9:15, come 9:30, they shut off and the lights wouldn't go on. So I did go down and actually I read down for something else and I did activate the lights. The only thing I don't like about the basketball lights now, and I don't know how easily you can do this, is you can turn them on during the middle of the day, and there's not a way of there has to be a way of being able to not, I can see a kid there hanging out and they're turning the lights on and they.
So there's not a light sensor on.
No, I turned them on at 2 o'clock, just to see if they look.
That timer should be able to set like at 3 in the afternoon, like in the middle of the winter when it gets dark earlier. That timer should be
And it
set
may
like
just be an
that.
internal where we have to bring Victor out and look at it and say, all right, how do we set this start? Because not that people do it, most normal people don't even think of it, but you know, when you're sitting there.
Well, I think if kids find out about it, they'll be turning on in the middle of the day.
So that's one thing, I would think that if we move ahead with this controller, we want to make sure we have that same, so you just don't get somebody walk by and they turn a button and we're paying for an hour's worth of electricity for, 2:30 in the afternoon or something like that. So they were looking for board approval to contract with Victor to complete that loop down there so that the basketball court and the tennis court would both have the same light control system for people to use with the same dynamics in regard to when it can be used till. So.
Are they all in working order currently?
The lights? All the lights came on the basketball court, I didn't turn the tennis court.
Tennis court works as well.
And I think there's, but in the parking lot,
There's 2 lights coming down into the drive, into the park there that did not work. He is in the process of trying to get those lights, and once he has those lights in hand, he's gonna get those installed as well, changing out the bulbs basically.
So all the ones on the court work. I did turn the tennis court.
The light, the pole light outside the tennis court doesn't work. There's 2 lights
You mean
on
like
the
a street light
pathway.
or like a path light?
Yeah, the path light, like a street light. That,
Now, are those path lights owned by PP&L or are they?
no, they're ours, they're ours. And there's a photo cell on the top of each one of them.
So we can, that's a separate item to this, but we can make sure that that light gets messed up.
My comment is, you put the timers on, but there's no signage.
Well, that's the other part, I have a sign, we're gonna talk about that next, as to how we want to put this signage in. So, I can kind of pull that in real fast and then we can move back to this one. Obviously, there's no signage there to tell people what to do, trying to see how we can get a small sign that can be put on there that would say, Reevestown Pool Park Basketball Court Lights, that's a whole mouthful to say. Lights can be turned on for 60-minute increments, lights will shut off by 9:30 p.m. daily. Now, it was kind of like bouncing back and forth because how do we, 9:30 daily in August is one thing, 9:30 in January is a little bit different, But there's no other way, I mean, right now the ordinance doesn't differentiate between that time, you can go to that time. So if you're comfortable with that, my key is I just didn't want someone down there trying to keep turning it at night and it's just spinning or they break it or anything. But also so people know that there are lights there and they're not wondering how do we turn these things on. So we thought we could get some small signs just put on and posted on to right below where the controllers were, so we would have a new post. And then you can see, all right, I have to turn this on for a 60-minute increment, and at 9:30, these lights are going to go out, and I need to leave. So any thoughts on that?
Best way to do it is really the timers.
Yeah.
The timers that are photosensitive is really the best way to do it. Because when they're photosensitive, it doesn't matter what time of the year it is, it doesn't matter if it's January or we're in July when the sun's going down at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the evening.
And see, these were put on, so if no one's down there, the lights won't go on, unless you're in there. If you say, hey, it's 8 o'clock, let's go play an hour of tennis, you can go down and turn it and get an hour to do it, and then it'll shut off. Or even if you get out even later, you're not going to be able to sit down and turn them on until 10 o'clock.
They should be able to. There are sensors out there, okay, that are light sensitive sensors. When they turn them on, they still apply to that light sensitivity, and then they'll shut themselves off after a time.
Okay.
They're out there. You may have to, that might be one way to do it. The other way to do it, but I wouldn't recommend it because they're going to get expensive, is the motion sensors. They do have the motion sensors you can set up, Brett, where if there is someone on the courts,
They'll come on.
they'll automatically come on.
But even with this
And they'll
timer
stay on
now,
while they're there.
we'd be covered to operate it and shut it off. That's not the issue. The issue is how do we let people know, and are you comfortable with, let's say it's a 60-degree day in January, that we're out there for 4 hours, someone's out there from 5 to 9 shooting baskets, which they normally wouldn't be, it gets dark at January 5 o'clock, but I don't know if that would be a big issue if they're gonna be out there in August anyway till 9 o'clock. You know, what's the difference if it's January or August?
Of course, the whole reason that you put lights there
Right,
was.
to get them out there. You're right, so the signage could be something small, we could put posts on both of those, just letting people know, hey, at 9:30, these things are going off, you know, and you can, you can be here, but at that point in time, once that's done, then you have 30 minutes, I think, afterwards to get out of the park, that's what the ordinance says. And so that's a minor item, I didn't think we really needed any action on that, I just wanted to make sure I shared with you the wording. The item is, like we did with the basketball court, if you want to put a timer down at the tennis courts, we need a motion to spend that $950 to do that. And we would probably also temper it that we want to have Victor see if it could be adjusted so the lights can't come on before a certain time, so that we don't have kids just leaving them on all day. So, I haven't got the impression that's happened, but who knows? You know,
You were the first one.
I was gonna say.
They probably do that.
You see where my mind goes, right? All right, so what do you want to do with the tennis courts? You want to put it on there, or you want to? Yeah, we'll decide, I just need approval to spend $900 if you want to put a timer down.
I think we should, I really think we should.
To stay consistent with the other court, yeah.
Yeah, so I will make that motion.
Okay.
Second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Okay, the other quick item, the skate park is beginning construction the week of August 9th, which is next week. They will be, art and concrete will be down there, I think, to start, I guess they're anticipating that they'll have that done by the end of the month is the hope, but that's weather permitting, depending on what we're going to run into. The rec board did ask, and they presented at the last meeting, I think it was mentioned to come back and make an official request, but they're looking to do an official ribbon cutting ceremony on Sunday, October 17th, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And I think the goal there, if you recall last time, they were trying to squeeze it in after the Denver Fair, but not impact the Reamstown Day. And I think they realized that since we're starting in August, the weather may not be able to, if something goes wrong, they would have to reschedule this. So they would like to have the Board of Supervisors at the ceremony, or at least one of you to help cut the ribbon. They plan on having a couple food trucks and a truck from Vans store in Lancaster to give out prizes and freebies. Parking would be in the pool lot, which shouldn't be an issue because we don't have really, the pool's closed, so it shouldn't be an item. And they have some overflow parking on some other locations. So I think in the past you guys have, when you've allowed this, and let me know if I'm incorrect, you've taken action to essentially authorize a ribbon cutting ceremony or an event where they're going to bring in things like this. Is that the case, or is it just you concur with that happening and wouldn't be an issue?
Yeah, I think we've just concurred with them doing it.
Okay.
We never formalized.
Okay, good. Well, I want to make sure that we didn't pass a step there. So, and then what you have in your packet as well is a couple signs that were proposed for the skate park. They want to put one up at the skate park which lists the rules for the skate park for people to see. And then the other signs that were in the packet as well were some sample signs to post as the park transitions into the Reamstown Park, the private park, so that people they want to be sensitive to the concerns of the Reamstown Park about skateboarders coming through there. So they're really going to be signs just marking, no skateboarding, rollerblading, anything like that beyond this point.
Right.
And hopefully the goal is to just funnel that all into the facility where they should be that we're building right now. So those are just minor items. Just want to make sure that there wasn't anything missed in the loop. We want to keep our partnership with the Reamstown Park people positive, and we want to make sure we can kind of build off of each other down there and offer some great things for the community. Any questions about that?
Well, is that enough information for people, or will that just create confusion when they transition from our park to Reamstown Park?
Yes.
Maybe there needs to be an explanation there of, well, this is now Reamstown Park that doesn't allow.
Maybe you could add just the name entering the Reamstown Park.
Something. I don't know.
Well, I think part of that too was Reamstown Park, the association or their board had mentioned they wanted some sensitivity there in terms of they did not want
Yeah, they don't
to
want it.
set the impression that
Don't come in.
don't come into our portion of the park.
Okay.
And I'm sure they have their rules up or posted, I don't
They
know
do,
if
I
they
think
were
they
to have
do,
them.
I think they do.
But really, it's just I think a goodwill step to say, hey, we're having this down here, and we're trying to make sure your boundaries are identified, and we're honoring what you have there.
Yeah,
And if it
along
won't-
the path is fine.
If it doesn't work, I guess we'll know, right away. We find a sign in the creek, we'll know that as well, too, but hopefully not.
All right.
Two quick other items, the township has received, this is a minor item, but it's a good win. We got the one call notice for the new PP&L pole on Colonel Howard Boulevard in Reevestown, so we're trimming weeks off, so hopefully in a couple of weeks, that pole will be there and PP&L will get installed. The last thing is COVID. On July 27th, and Ken brought this to my attention, the CDC added a recommendation that fully vaccinated people wear a mask in public indoor settings in areas of substantial or high transmission. Lancaster County falls into that, one of those areas. There was a poll that went across well, I shouldn't say all, it went to all the municipalities in the county, but about 19 of them responded, and they all responded that they weren't at this time planning on doing anything different. 2 of them have signs posted at the door. They don't require masks, but they just have, if you signs that say you have COVID symptoms, please do not enter the public meeting or public offices. But beyond that, there's no questions about it, no one's being asked. It's just something that I guess I'm trying to get on your radar as this is sort of moving a little bit, that we may have to do something. And wanted to make sure if there was a sensitivity from your end as to this, we kind of take care of that as well.
Here we go again.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Yeah, I didn't think they finalized, Ken, did they finalize that recommendation?
That's what I heard.
Okay, I don't remember.
And it was based on the transmission rate, the number, percent of positive cases.
Yeah.
It's whatever, some metric that measures how much of the virus is circulating. And, Lancaster County entered that zone.
Well, we as a municipality right now, we provide technology means that if someone is sick or they're feeling ill or they, for personal medical reasons, decide not to attend a public meeting, we're providing them the ability to attend the meeting by being live on Zoom. So we're providing that mechanism.
Right.
So if someone's not comfortable in coming in, they can absolutely still attend, just like some of them are right now on Zoom.
Right.
Right?
Yes, I think and I took it as a recommendation. Obviously wasn't a mandate that came down from the state or anything like that. So I just wanted to give you an idea of what the other places are looking at. But you know how fast this changed, how fast it changed last year. I think it kind of spun. I do know the libraries in the county now are all requiring a mask to enter the facilities, including Adamstown and Ephrata.
A bunch of retail locations have done that
Yeah,
also.
Wawa, I just saw that.
Wawa just did it, Walmart just did it, I think Target just did it.
For their employees. Walmart's for their employees.
I know Wawa had a sign, anyone coming in effective the 4th, you would need to wear a mask.
I think Wegmans did it.
Home Depot, Lowe's, they all did.
So just put that on your radar. That's all.
Okay.
The last thing, which came in today, it actually came in, I think, this morning, or late yesterday, 9:35 yesterday. And this was something I was following up with Jeff about, was the credit card confirmation. We had received our confirmation. Actually, I think the letter went to Jeff at his personal residence, just informing him that the application's been approved, and we had a $10,000 limit, and that the cards would be coming out. I did follow up with Fulton Bank about that, and they mentioned that, again, they confirmed that it was to the personal residence, a standard that's provided a way to stay informed of the status of the change, so that if a letter came here and it didn't make it, he would get that at home, and as a treasurer, be able to wear. The question I had to him, though, is they capped everything at $10,000. We have multiple cards. You recall, we were looking at a $5,000 limit. My initial impression was that that was going to mean that our ultimate limit would be 5 times that, if it was 7 cards or 4 cards. And they indicated, well, that's something, once the cards get in, then those things can get adjusted to make sure it matches them. So, not that I anticipate that could be a problem, but it really doesn't make sense to have 4 cards and we have that 5 limit, but only 2 of them would be able to hit there, and then we have someone that says, hey, your card has been rejected, and then we're running around trying to figure out how we do that. I don't anticipate, I mean, to be honest with you, I think we've had one in Denver now for the year. I've seen it the first day, I put it in a lockbox, and I haven't used it, had the need to use it, and I don't anticipate I'll have the need to use it here unless it's an emergency situation or we're doing something online with a video or something like that. So there's a process to do that, and that will require the treasurer to send an email providing authorization to increase the limit up to $20,000 for East Cocalico Township. So right now, what you saw, Jeff, that letter was $10,000 was the limit, $10,000, and there's 5 cards total, I think. We also would be reducing your limit to $100. He had to get a card as the treasurer. We couldn't get around that. So we wanted to make sure that we honored what he was thinking there and just made it symbolic, you know, that we were able to do that. And then it would be Brett, Judy, myself, and the chief also would have a card. Chief has the police one there. Judy has our cards over in her locked area there. So I don't know if this takes any official action, maybe it just takes note for the minutes that we would have the clarification sent by email, just saying that we would be making that limit 20,000 to cover the intent of what we talked about when we set this up. And then in doing that, there's a form that we would fill out to make sure that then as well, Judy and I can be added as authorized persons so that if there's a billing question, an issue, a concern, right now we'd all have to call Jeff at his personal number to try and get them, whereas she would be able then to talk and say, hey, we got this bill, there's a question about this, and they'd be able to handle that area. But that's just a paperwork form that they said, wait till you get your cards. So it's all a process, and really the only thing now that I'm just telling you is we have to make, addressing your concern earlier,
Yes.
but making that adjustment to make sure we're at the 20,000, everything else will stay the same. We just have fewer cards than we first initially had thought.
Yeah.
Is that easy to follow, or did I kind of went in
Well,
circles?
I will add to it, yes. When a notice comes to our house from Fulton Bank saying that there's a credit card with the township's name on it, but yet it's coming to our address, my wife said, what, now we're paying township bills? No, that wasn't quite the case. It's a safety design that's built into the system so that to keep fraud from happening, so that nobody else is putting a card out in your name without you knowing about it. The bills will be coming to the township here, so that takes a little something off the plate that way. My wife was happy to hear that. So anyway, no, thank you, Mike, for clarifying all that.
Sure.
If you, in Denver, if you put your card in a secure spot in January and it's August, doesn't sound like a whole lot of need. I don't know if I'm ready to go from 10 to 20,000 yet.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of I walk before I run.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see anyone get embarrassed by they show up and their card gets rejected, but we talked about 5 and now cumulatively, we go to, seek to go to 20. And I kind of like to see where 10 gets us for a while.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about 5 though, we were looking at 5 on each individual card, right? So, but you had to get approval to spend that. Obviously, you go over your limit, had to get approval. So really, the only time, we would probably know in advance in that case, but we would then have to, you could pay the bill and then free up that additional space. But who wants to go and bring you guys in to do that and have to take all that action and all that? So, yeah, I would think, I mean, well, we can stick there and see how it goes. I don't anticipate using that card here.
Am I being cheap or?
No, I guess with the year and a half's experience, Craig, there really hasn't been a lot of big dollar uses. It just hasn't happened. And you know, you see $100 here, you see $100 there, seems to be the frequency. You know, there was a time when Ken had to buy trees that went up to, what, $1,000 or so. You know, I think those are some of the higher purchases I've seen. So I think you're on the right track there, actually, Craig. I don't know that we have to go that high, but, you know, it means there is multiple cards. It's like, well, you know, access roadmaster card or something if one of others.
Yeah, just it would be cumulative, so if you have used all 4, if you got to 10, if you were gonna use any of them, you would be denied until you paid the bill. But why don't we see, it's a good point, see where we are, and if we have to readdress this, we can. We haven't had it, that was a different beast than here, you know, there's a lot more going on here, a lot more activity, but yeah, let's see, let's start out slow and see where we go. That's fine.
We have a long vendor list where we have credit, and the frequency of the card use isn't much. So, yeah, I think you're on the right track, Craig.
That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for Mike? Okay, moving on. Public comment for non-agenda items. Please state your name clearly before you comment so that, again, it makes it easier for us in the meeting minutes. Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
Jim Kinback, traveling on Colonel Howard Boulevard from 272 to Route 222 or Turnpike. There are signs up saying no truck parking. I noticed that there's a lot of construction vehicles parked there. I was hoping they were there so that they would repave that bumpy road. Any idea when the state is going to fix that mess?
I have heard nothing. No, I haven't. What, on Colonel Howard?
Colonel Howard going from 272 to either 222 or Turnpike. It's so bumpy as you get to the entrance of 222. And all those construction vehicles have been there, but I don't see anything happening.
It's copy. Yeah, that's the way of the trucks.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, sure.
They should have used, and I don't know if they did or didn't, there's I don't know, super mix, or what do they call it? Super paid.
Yeah.
And that's what should be used in that type of area. I don't know what PennDOT will do and won't do.
Well, why are they allowed to park trucks there if we have signs, no truck parking?
Well, I don't know who they are, but.
Well, I don't know whose trucks they are either, but they're there.
Okay, well then that's a police department issue and we will pass that along.
And if we could ask when they're gonna fix that mess before the winter comes, and then we'll say, oh, we can't do it now, it's too cold.
Well, we have a meeting coming up with the maintenance on the PennDOT.
Yeah, August 19th, yes.
Maybe we can ask them at that time as well.
Yeah, and to add to June's comments, that elevated island there, when you come down off of, when you're coming on the Colonel Howard Boulevard, off of Superfresh's ramps, those elevated islands, they're all broken up. And
I just picked them up.
Oh, did you?
Just picked them up.
I've actually gotten out of the truck and moved them back onto the island, because they were massive.
Yeah, right.
And that's some of the discussion we want to have. We were getting calls from quite a number of township residents about issues that are state road type related issues. And we're trying to be sensitive to make sure we eliminate a hazard and be responsive, but at the same time, you know, we don't want to overstep it and the state comes back and it's like, hey, you're doing this on our. So we called this meeting with the Langstroms just to kind of get the framework and a playing field level as to here's what's going on, here's what are you going to do, what do we do, and who do we contact when something like this happens? Because it just doesn't reflect well on us. People automatically think it's the township not doing it, and you don't want to call someone and say, oh, hey, I know that bush is an issue, but it's state road, so we're not going to cut it down. You know, it just isn't a good response.
No, June, I had the same thought when I travel there. I think I've been on smoother farm roads and field roads.
It is fun. We drive the shoulder more so because the shoulder is smoother than the road.
It's really rough, and you know, they did all that work on Muddy Creek Road.
Yeah.
Made that very nice, but yet on the boulevard, it's a challenge.
It's a main road.
So yeah.
It's well traveled, I know, but
yeah.
it's a bumpy mess.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Doug Mackley. RC, in the beginning of the meeting, you talked about 2 resolutions, and I must have been paying attention. I only heard that you guys ratified the one. I didn't hear 2021-09. Didn't hear anything about that one. You seconded a motion on 2021-10. But it looks like that whole property that Jared is the guy's name that owns Earth Turf and Wood, it looks like he's splitting the ownership up between him and his wife. Is that how I'm reading this whole thing?
I believe that is how it is now, I think, and that's why there were 2 different deeds of dedication that were given to us because of the way the properties were titled.
Okay.
Yeah.
But,
They were actually titled in 2 separate names, correct?
right. But was the original motion going back, did I miss 2021-09? I don't remember that being,
Yes.
you started talking about it, but I didn't think you made a motion in a second.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, I apologize.
2021, yes, so no problem, Doug. Just for clarification, 2021-09 is 180, is the actual physical address is 188 North Reamstown Road.
Right.
Okay? And then the resolution for 2021-10 is 196 North Reamstown Road.
My apologies.
No worries.
That's
No
all right.
worries.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anyone else? Okay. Announcements. The next supervisors meeting will be held on Thursday, August 19th, and that will be in person here at the Township Building and live via Zoom.
It's an evening meeting.
And that is an evening meeting, yes, sir, at 7 p.m. Thank you. And we have no executive sessions for this morning. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Read my notes. I have one other question for the board. Has the board come to a resolution, the 3 of you, or at least 2 of you, on the Henderson thing? That wasn't even discussed today, and maybe that was by design, but I know RC gave his opinion. Jeff was on the fence and Craig was on the fence.
I'm not on the fence.
Which way you're
No,
gonna
no,
go.
no.
Well, you did give an opinion. but-
I did not give an opinion because there was no motion to give an opinion
All right,
on.
then. Okay.
When there is a motion and a second to that motion, then I will participate in discussion.
Okay.
But to sit here and give hypothetical questions or a hypothetical response that you're seeking.
No, I'm
To
not
a
seeking,
motion
I
that
just,
doesn't
I
exist.
sit here, you guys have known about this since April, and it's taken the 3 of you since April to come up with an answer. My God, I'm glad you don't run the whole township like that. We'd all be in jail because of non-payment of bills. I mean, it's April, and here it is August,
Right.
and you still haven't made a, whatever you want to call it, a decision, a way to go. You haven't decided that you can agree on the methodology on how this is gonna work. It has nothing to do with what's gonna be there. It's I think what they're asking for is how are you gonna allow them to spend the money, or what are you gonna wheel and deal with? And that's all they're asking for, and you can't give an answer.
Well, no,
It's
they've asked
crazy.
they've asked for more than that.
Well,
They've asked about PennDOT.
no, they haven't. They have
Well,
not
they
asked
did
about
on the
PennDOT.
email that I received, which is the only
Well-
notice I've ever gotten.
Well, the answer should be from you guys. You have nothing to do with PennDOT. They need to ask PennDOT those questions. You can't answer. You can't answer for PennDOT, much like PennDOT can't answer for your roads.
Right.
So that's the simple answer.
No.
Yes,
I don't
it is.
even know if they met with PennDOT.
You're missing the point. You need to say to them, you have a question about PennDOT, don't be asking me. Ask PennDOT. Now move on. What's your next question? Period. End of conversation. The minute you start answering for PennDOT, you're gonna be in trouble. I don't have to tell you that.
I hear you loud and clear. But if you want me to weigh in on an issue without knowing, I can't do that, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Okay, so we're still stuck in neutral.
We're not stuck in neutral. I welcome them to come. I've said that.
Okay.
Benderson will be attending the Traffic Impact Fee Advisory Committee meeting on Monday, August 5th.
Today's on.
I'm sorry, on Monday, August 9th at 5 p.m.
Is that gonna be available via Zoom or in person
I
or?
have no idea how the Traffic Impact Fee conducts their meeting. You gotta ask.
Yeah, it's a public meeting, I don't,
Public meeting.
but I wasn't anticipating.
I'll be on vacation, that's why. I just wanted to listen.
And it's a different time than they normally meet, just because of, there's a conflict with another meeting that night, so.
Okay,
Very good.
thank you. Okay, so we have a motion to adjourn, and I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Motion carries. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Barry's.
Yeah, I know.